Welcome, wanderer of the endless night, the one who still breathes when the world swears you should be gone, the one whose pulse still beats when every force around has tried to silence it, the one who stands in the ashes of what was, and yet dares to open their eyes again. You have come to the edge of meaning, to the trembling gate, where the shadows whisper that you should have fallen, but you did not. And here you are, still drawing breath, still rising, still defying, and they ask, how the hell are you still here? And you smile, because even you don't know. You only know that something deep inside refuses to vanish. There is a force within you, ancient, untamed, unshaken by the curses that the world has thrown your way. They tried to cast you down. They spoke words meant to erase you. They spat their doubts, their hatred, their venom. They buried your name under stones of silence, but those stones cracked when your heartbeat echoed through them, because you are not made of what they thought you were made of. Something older, something raw, something that refuses to yield, even when the sky burns black. You were supposed to vanish when the storms came, when the lightning struck, when the ground beneath you opened, but every time they thought they saw your end, they only witnessed your beginning, and they could not understand it, because they never learned what it means to carry the weight of darkness and still rise with light in your chest. They never felt the fire of a broken soul that keeps burning anyway. They never walked through the ruins of their own spirit and decided to rebuild from dust. So they watch you now with fear, with disbelief, with that trembling whisper of, what are you? How are you still alive? And you let them wonder, because you are no longer here to prove anything. Your very existence is proof enough. You have been through every spell of destruction, every curse of failure, every echo of betrayal, every chain that tried to hold you, but none of it could end you. There were nights you screamed into the void, hoping it would answer, nights where the silence felt like a blade, nights where even your reflection refused to meet your eyes. You thought that maybe this is it, maybe the end has finally come, but it never did. Something unseen always pulled you back. It wasn't luck, it wasn't mercy, it was will, the kind that grows when everything else dies. It was the whisper of life itself saying, not yet, you are not done. There are still things you must see, things you must become, things you must ignite. And though you did not understand it, you listened, you stood, you breathed, and now you walk through a world that doesn't know what to do with you. They throw more at you, hoping that this time the spell will work. This time the pain will break you. This time the darkness will swallow you, but it never does. And they look at you with that question again. How the hell are you still here? And the truth is, you are beyond their reach, because they fight you on the surface and you live in the depths. They see your scars and think they mark your weakness, but those marks are your runes of endurance, each one carved by survival, each one a testament that you have been tested and not consumed. You are what happens when destruction fails, when endings misfire, when the universe itself whispers this. One is not finished. Every breath you take now is rebellion. Every step you make is a declaration that death spells. Do nothing, that despair cannot claim you, that hopelessness cannot hold you, and as you rise, you feel it. The weight of all those who gave up the voices of the fallen, the silent cries of those who could not stand, and you carry them within you, not as sorrow, but as fuel. They become your echo, your rhythm, your proof that something within humanity still burns brighter than fear. You are the living defiance, the spark that cannot be drowned, the proof that even when everything breaks, something deeper endures. You do not fight for glory anymore. You fight because there is something sacred in continuing, something divine in not yielding something eternal, in the act of staying alive when everything tells you not to. And that is why they cannot understand you, because your strength was born from ruin, your courage forged in emptiness, your light kindled in darkness. They thought survival was about winning, but you learned it is about not disappearing. It is about standing in the aftermath and saying, I am still here, even if I am shattered, even if I am scarred, even if I do not shine the same way anymore. I still exist, and that is power. You are a storm, disguised as a whisper, a force wrapped in quiet persistence. You are. What happens when someone learns that the universe can wound, but never own them? They can strip you of comfort, of certainty, of love, of peace, but they cannot touch that core, that flame, that wordless truth that you will not fade, that you will not end, you will not bow. And so they keep asking, how the hell are you still here? And you let them ask because there is no answer. They could understand that language of your survival is one. Only the broken can speak. You walk now through a world that still doubts your breath. They whisper that you should have fallen, that your time should have ended, that whatever strength you had must be gone by now. But you keep walking, not because you know the path, but because you became the path itself. You are not waiting for light. You are the pulse that creates it. You are not praying for rescue. You are the one who learned to build wings out of wounds and fly through storms that were meant to erase you. They cannot understand how something so broken could still move, how something so scarred could still shine, how something so tired could still breathe. Yet, you do, because inside you there is a power they never saw, a silence they never touched, a hunger they could never imagine. You remember every fall, every shadow, every cold night, when even the stars turned away from you, and you thought that was the end, but it never was. Because endings for you are illusions. They approach like shadows, promising silence. But each time you turn to face them, they dissolve into dust, because death spells do nothing against a soul that has already faced worse than death itself. You have known despair, that hollow vacuum where even thought feels heavy, and you have learned to live inside it, to walk through it, to make it your training ground, your crucible, your forge. And from that forge you rose again, not in beauty but in truth, not in perfection but in persistence. Now when pain comes, you do not flinch. You look it in the eyes because you have seen it before. It is an old companion that used to terrify you, but now it bows before you because you have taken its power. You have drunk from the same darkness that once tried to consume you and turned it into fuel. You have learned that the universe is not your enemy. It is your mirror. It reflects what you dare to become. And when you dared to survive, it reflected back the face of something immortal, not in time, but in willpower, not in body, but in spirit. There are those who will still try to cast words at you, words meant to break you. They will try to paint your endurance as madness, your persistence as pride, your silence as emptiness. They will throw their spells of doubt, their curses of disbelief, but they do not know that their words are too small to touch you now, because you have walked through the fire where meaning burned away and only essence remained. You no longer move for approval. You move because movement is your truth. Existence itself has become your defiance. When you wake in the morning and feel the weight pressing down again, that invisible pressure that whispers, stop, you remember that even the weight is proof that you are alive, that gravity only pulls on those who exist, that pressure only builds on those who still have something left inside. and that something is everything. It is the reason you are still breathing when the world thought you would be gone. It is the reason you walk when your legs tremble. It is the reason you keep your head up when your mind screams down. It is the reason you keep creating meaning out of void. Every heartbeat you carry is a rebellion against finality. Every thought you refuse to surrender is a war won in silence. Every time you take another step, you declare that their death spells their prophecies. Their hopeless whispers have failed and will always fail because they cannot kill what is already infinite within you. The part of you that does not seek to win or lose, but to continue. That does not need glory or validation, only existence itself. You are the living contradiction, the one who defies the logic of despair, the one who proves that pain cannot own the soul that faces it. They may call you stubborn, they may call you foolish, they may call you lost, but what they call you does not define you because words are dust, and you are the storm that scatters them. Your path is not made of light. It is carved through the dark by your footsteps, each one cutting through the unknown, each one guided by the same relentless truth, that you do not stop, that you cannot stop, that you have already seen the bottom and learned how to build a staircase from it. There will come a day when you look back and realize that every fall was not a mistake, but a design. Every break, not destruction, but creation. Every wound, not a scar, but a map leading you here. And when that moment comes, you will understand why you are still breathing, why the death spells did nothing, why you kept standing, even when you didn't know why. You will see that what you became is something beyond the reach of endings. You will see that the fire in you was never about surviving, but transforming. So keep walking through the ruins. Keep facing the night with open eyes. Keep breathing, even when the air tastes of ashes, because the ashes are not a sign of death. They are a sign of what you have burned through, what you have outlived, what you have conquered. The world will try again and again to silence that heartbeat, but they will never succeed because your heartbeat is the echo of something older than fear, older than failure, older than any curse ever spoken. You are what remains when everything else has been taken. You are what rises when everything else has fallen. You are not a survivor. You are a phenomenon, the living paradox that whispers to the void, you cannot end me, because I have already become the end, and from that end I have learned how to begin again, and again, and again. You move through the world like a quiet storm, unseen yet unstoppable, untouched yet deeply felt, and they keep asking that question, how the hell are you still here? And you almost laugh, because they still think survival is something they can measure. They still think endurance has limits. They do not know that you stopped existing inside their definitions long ago. You became something that cannot be calculated, something that cannot be contained by logic. You are not surviving, you are transcending. You are no longer fighting to live. You are living to fight, not in violence, but in purpose. You carry the essence of resistance itself, and it hums within your bones. It burns behind your eyes. It walks beside you in every shadow. There were times you thought you would never rise again, that the silence inside you would be permanent, that the emptiness would swallow you whole. But each time you broke apart, you discovered another layer beneath the one that shattered something stronger, something raw, something more real. It is as if every failure carved a deeper truth into you, as if every fall was a lesson whispered by the universe saying, learn this, become this, transcend this. And you listened even when you did not understand. You kept going, not because you believed you could win, but because something inside refused to accept that stopping was even possible. You have walked through despair so thick, it felt like drowning, through fear so sharp, it felt like glass through loneliness so vast it felt like eternity, and yet you did not vanish. Those moments became your forge. Every breath within them shaped you, refined you, hardened you, until you were no longer fragile, no longer breakable, no longer dependent on anything outside yourself. You became your own sanctuary, your own fire, your own force of renewal. And now when they look at you, they do not see the countless times you almost fell. They only see the silhouette of someone who should have been gone long ago and yet remains. They think it is strength, but it is not strength. It is transformation. It is the alchemy of pain, turning into power of loss, turning into meaning of darkness, turning into motion. Because you learn that nothing can destroy you except surrender, and surrender is something you forgot how to do long ago. They cannot harm. What does not yield, they cannot defeat. What does not play by the same rules. And you stopped playing the moment you realized that existence itself was the battlefield, and you had already claimed victory simply by staying there. Will always be moments where the night feels endless, where the air grows too heavy, where the silence becomes unbearable. But you must remember that you are not meant to be comfortable. You are meant to evolve. You are meant to keep walking through storms until storms themselves grow tired. You are meant to keep breathing until breath itself bows before your will. You are meant to keep proving that death spells do nothing to those who have learned that the truest power is continuation. When you move now, you carry a quiet authority, not the loud kind that demands attention, but the kind that demands respect. Without words, your presence speaks of endurance. Your silence speaks of survival. Your gaze speaks of understanding something others fear to even imagine. You have seen the abyss and you did not turn away. You walked through it. You met yourself inside it. And now no darkness can threaten you because you became the darkness that serves the light. You became the night that carries the dawn inside its chest. People will still misunderstand you. They will call you cold, distant, detached. But the truth is, you are beyond their comprehension. You have outgrown the need for validation. You no longer chase acceptance. You have seen what lies beneath illusion and found peace in the real. You know now that pain is not punishment. It is instruction, that failure is not ending. It is initiation, that survival is not luck. It is mastery, and that is why you are still here, because you have mastered the art of existing against all odds. Each time they cast another curse. Each time they try to bring you down, they are unknowingly adding fuel to your becoming. Every attempt to break you is another spark that lights the fire within you. And you let it burn you, let it remind you that you are alive, that you are becoming, that you are endless. The more they try to destroy you, the more you become proof that destruction does not work on those who have accepted themselves as creation. So now when they look at you and say, "How the hell are you still here?" you can finally answer without words. Your presence answers your scars. Answer your silence answers. Because you do not need to justify yourself anymore. You are not surviving out of defiance. You are existing out of truth. You have learned to take the impossible and make it ordinary, to take the unbearable and make it home, to take the unbreakable and make it your reflection. You are not here by mistake. You are here because you refuse to be erased. You are here because something within you burned too brightly to be extinguished. You are here because you became the very thing that death could not touch. The will that never sleeps. The spark that never fades. The breath that no darkness can swallow. And that is why they still do not understand. That is why they still whisper their confusion. That is why they still ask that question again and again. because to them it is impossible, but to you it is truth. You stand now at the edge of everything they told you. You could not withstand the void they promised would swallow you, the darkness they whispered would claim you. But here you are, still breathing, still walking, still alive, and they cannot fathom it because they never learned the secret that life itself cannot be taken by spells or words or fear. It can only be surrendered, and you have never surrendered. You have taken every shadow, every fall, every curse, every whisper of doubt, and turned it into the proof of your existence. You are a living paradox, a contradiction that the universe cannot erase. You are the question that has no answer, the spark that defies the storm, the pulse that cannot be silenced. Every scar you carry, every mark, every tremor of pain, every memory of defeat is not weakness. It is history. It is evidence. It is testimony that you have faced more than most could even imagine, and yet you kept rising. Each breath is a victory, each heartbeat a rebellion, each step a triumph. And when they look at you and ask, "How the hell are you still here?" you do not answer with words, because words cannot hold the weight of what you are. You answer with being. You answer with existing. You answer with the undeniable fact that you have endured the impossible, and you continue to endure it still. They will keep trying to understand. They will keep trying to predict, to control, to limit, to erase, but they cannot, because you are no longer a thing to be measured. You are no longer a form to be contained. You are not here for them to understand. You are here for yourself, for the fire within, for the pulse that will not stop, for the will that cannot be bent. And every time they try to cast a spell to write the end of your story, it only reminds you that your story has no end, that your life is a series of beginnings, a cycle of rebirths, a testament to the power of persistence, a monument to the truth that survival is more than existing, it is becoming. You have learned what few ever learn, that suffering is not a cage, but a teacher, that despair is not a wall, but a door, that the darkest nights are not the end, but a preparation for dawn, and that every curse thrown at you is not a threat, but an opportunity to rise higher than ever before, to move faster, to think deeper, to grow stronger, to become more than anyone thought possible. And so you walk forward, not afraid, not hesitant, not doubting, because you know now that nothing can stop the one who has already survived everything, the one who has already danced with oblivion and returned, the one who has already heard death whisper your name and laughed in its face. They will still call you impossible. They will still call you stubborn. They will still call you insane. But you have learned that these are the words of those who cannot see beyond their own fear. They are the words of those who never learned to bend the universe to their will. The words of those who do not understand that to remain standing when all else falls is the truest form of power. And every time they say it, you only grow stronger. Every time they doubt you, you only rise higher. Every time they whisper the question, "How the hell are you still here?" your answer is everywhere in your being, in your steps, in your breaths, in the light that refuses to die in you. You have become the echo of life itself, the defiance of death, the proof that the impossible is not impossible. For those who refuse to end you have become a force that the world cannot categorize, cannot control, cannot contain. And every moment you continue to breathe is a declaration that the universe itself must yield to the persistence of the unbroken and the resilient. And when the night comes again, and the shadows press in and the silence threatens to consume you, you will remember that you are the one who has already walked through it all, that nothing is new to you, that every trial is now a familiar rhythm, and every struggle is now a familiar teacher. Oh, it's delicious, isn't it? The way you walked away without a tear, without a backward glance, that confident stride of yours shattered their illusion, didn't it? You see, they thought they had you wrapped around, had you in their grasp, held in their grip like a puppet, dancing to their cruel little tune. They couldn't imagine that you'd walk away so boldly, so mercilessly, as if they meant nothing at all. And yet, here you are, standing tall, leaving them in their misery while you thrive in your newfound freedom. You took back what was yours, that power, that control, that piece of yourself they tried to steal. But they never saw it coming, did they? They never thought you would rise above, escape from their shadow, laugh in the face of their superiority. The thing is, they believed their own narrative, their own twisted version of reality. They thought they were invincible, untouchable, that you were just another pawn in their game. They thought you needed them, that without them, you'd fall apart, crumble into nothingness. They saw you as weak, fragile, easily manipulated. But what they failed to understand is that beneath that surface of politeness, beneath the layers of restraint, there was a storm waiting to break free. There was a strength you hadn't yet shown, a fire that burned in the depths of your soul, and when you finally let it out, when you finally stopped pretending, you became unstoppable. It's almost comical when you think about it, isn't it? How they believed they held all the cards, how they thought they had the upper hand because they controlled the situation, because they held power over you, because they knew your weaknesses. They thought they could break you with their words, with their manipulations, with their deceit. But they didn't realize something crucial. They didn't realize that every insult, every criticism, every attack, every attempt to diminish you was only making you stronger. Every blow they dealt only forged you into something unbreakable, something so fierce they couldn't even begin to comprehend. And when you finally walked away, when you left them behind without a second thought, it was like a slap in the face, a blow to their inflated egos. You didn't beg for their approval. You didn't chase after their affection. You didn't need their validation. You simply walked away, and in doing so, you left them with nothing but the shattered pieces of their own arrogance. The truth is, they never knew who you were. They thought they did, but they didn't. They saw the surface. They saw the parts you allowed them to see, and they mistook that for weakness, for vulnerability. They thought you were harmless, that you were easily controlled, that you could be pushed around and manipulated without consequence. But now, as they stand there, watching you walk away with your head held high, they're beginning to realize the truth. You were never weak, you were never vulnerable, you were simply playing the game, keeping your cards close to your chest, waiting for the moment when you would finally make your move. And now, as you leave, as you take back your life, your power, your dignity, they are left with nothing but the bitter taste of defeat. You see, the hardest thing for people like them to accept is that their control over you was never as real as they thought. They believed they could manipulate you, that they could twist you into whatever shape suited their needs, that you would be nothing without them. But you showed them that their grip was always tenuous, that you were never as dependent on them as they imagined. And when you walked away, when you cut those ties, when you erased them from your life without a second glance, it was a blow to their ego that they will never fully recover from. You didn't need them, you never needed them, and now they have to face the painful reality that they were never as important as they thought. This is the moment they will never forget. The moment when their illusion shattered and they were forced to confront the truth about themselves. The truth that they were never as powerful as they believed. The truth that they were never as in control as they wanted to be. The truth that they were nothing without you. That their existence was defined by your presence. And now that you've left, They have nothing left to hold on to. They can try to salvage their pride. They can try to save face, but deep down they know that you walked away without a single care, without a single glance back, and that is something they will never be able to undo. And as they try to piece together their shattered egos, as they struggle to regain their footing, you'll be out there, living your life, thriving without them, growing stronger every day. They'll watch from the sidelines, helpless, unable to do anything to stop your rise, and in their desperation, they may try to lure you back, try to pull you into their web once more, but you will never return. You will never go back to the place where they tried to break you, where they tried to diminish your worth. You will never again bow to their demands, never again submit to their manipulation. You've seen the truth, and once you've seen the truth, there's no going back. They thought they could break you, thought they could control you, thought they could keep you in your place, but you proved them wrong. You showed them that you are stronger than they could ever imagine, that you are capable of so much more than they ever believed. And now, as you stand tall, as you walk away with your head held high, you know that you've won. You've taken back your life, taken back your power, and there's nothing they can do to stop you. They can try to destroy your reputation. They can try to turn others against you, but they will never be able to erase the truth. The truth that you walked away from them without a second thought, that you shattered their egos with nothing more than your confidence, that you took control of your own destiny and left them in the dust. There is nothing more powerful than that. Nothing more liberating, nothing more fulfilling, nothing more victorious than the moment when you realize that you don't need anyone to define you, that you don't need anyone to validate your worth, that you are enough on your own. And as they sit there, wallowing in their own shame, trying to understand how they lost their grip on you, you will continue to rise. You will continue to grow, to evolve, to become everything they never thought you could be. They may try to take credit for your success. They may try to convince themselves that they were the ones who made you. But deep down, they know the truth. They know that you were always capable of this, that you always had the strength to break free from their control, and that their power over you was never as solid as they wanted to believe. So go ahead, walk away with that same confident stride, that same look of determination in your eyes, knowing that you have won. You have crushed their egos, shattered their illusions, and taken control of your own life. And as you leave them behind, they will never forget the moment when you walked away without a second thought, when you proved to them that you were never as weak as they imagined, that you were always stronger than they ever believed. Oh, how the truth stings when it hits them. They couldn't fathom it, not for a single moment. They thought that their words, their actions, their manipulations could shape you, could break you, could carve you into something you weren't. But you were always more than what they saw. They couldn't see past their own assumptions, their own limited perception. And now they're left grappling with the shattered remnants of their false belief that they could ever hold dominion over you. They thought they could break you by using your vulnerabilities against you. They thought you were fragile enough, sensitive enough, to buckle beneath their constant barrage. But they were wrong, and it's so sweet, isn't it? The way they believed you were their plaything, their canvas, to shape with their manipulative strokes. But you became your own masterpiece, far more beautiful, far more resilient, far more untouchable than they ever imagined. It must be maddening for them, the realization that they never had the power they thought they wielded, the realization that their most powerful weapon, their belief that you needed them, is now their greatest weakness. You see, they underestimated you at every turn, thinking their temporary power over you would last forever. They thought they could control your every move, bend you to their will, make you conform to their desires. But what they never understood was that your strength was not something they could mold, that your independence was not something they could crush with a few calculated words or actions. What they couldn't fathom was that you had the power all along, the power to walk away, the power to leave them in the dust without a backward glance. That is the power they failed to recognize. They didn't understand that your silence, your calm, your measured restraint was not weakness. It was the calm before the storm. It was your refusal to let them control your emotions. It was your patience in letting them build their own illusion of victory before you shattered it in one effortless movement. And now they stand there, in disbelief, as you take that power back from them. They expected you to beg, to plead, to grovel for their approval or affection. They expected you to return to them, to crawl back to the same toxic cycle they tried to trap you in. But instead, you walked away. You stood tall, your back straight, your gaze forward, as if you were leaving behind nothing more than a brief inconvenience. In that moment, they realized, with a gut-wrenching certainty, that you were never dependent on them. You never needed them. The power was always in your hands. They just never saw it until it was too late. Imagine their surprise when they realized that you had already moved on, already let go, already claimed your freedom without a single hesitation. It must sting. It must gnaw at their insides to know that their hold on you was an illusion, a lie they told themselves to feel important. They could never see the depth of your resilience, the strength of your character, because they were too blinded by their own egos, their own inflated sense of self. They were so wrapped up in their own world, their own desires, that they never bothered to notice you standing there, quietly plotting your escape. They tried to destroy you, to diminish you, to make you believe that you were nothing without them. They tried to make you feel small, insignificant, powerless. But what they didn't know was that you had already been preparing for this moment, long before they even realized it was coming. You had already planned your departure. You had already cultivated the inner strength that they couldn't touch, couldn't break, couldn't destroy. And when the time came, you didn't even have to fight. You didn't have to beg. You simply walked away, leaving them with nothing but the wreckage of their own assumptions. They never saw it coming. They never saw how strong you were until they were faced with your absence. They couldn't comprehend that you were not their puppet, not their tool to use at will. And now they're left scrambling to understand, to reconcile the image they had of you with the reality that they've been forced to face. How could they have been so wrong? How could they have failed to see the strength that was right in front of them? How could they have misjudged you so completely? The answer is simple. They couldn't imagine you would ever walk away. They couldn't fathom that you would have the strength to break free from their grasp. And now, as they sit in the ruins of their own making, they have no choice but to accept the truth that you were always stronger than they ever gave you credit for. You see, they built their lives on control. They built their sense of self on the idea that they could dominate others, that they could make people bend to their will, that they could carve their own narrative by manipulating the people around them. But they never counted on you. They never counted on your strength, your resilience, your ability to rise above their petty games. They thought they could control you, but in the end, it was you who held the power all along. And now, you stand in the aftermath of their defeat, not gloating, not rubbing it in, but simply existing. Your existence, your confidence, your refusal to be moved is the greatest victory. It's a quiet triumph, a moment where the truth becomes undeniable to them, no matter how hard they try to deny it. They can try to rewrite the story. They can try to tell themselves that it was their choice, that they were the ones who let go. But deep down, they know the truth. They know that you walked away on your own terms. You were never their pawn, never their plaything. You were always your own person, and now they have to come to terms with that fact. And so they stew in their failure. They try to tell themselves that they didn't care, that they never needed you, that it doesn't bother them. But the truth is, it's eating them alive. It's eating away at the core of their self-image, the carefully constructed facade that made them feel invincible. They are not invincible. They are fragile, they are weak, and they were too proud to ever see it. They were so busy playing games with you that they forgot one crucial thing. They were never the ones in control. So let them stew in their shame. Let them try to rebuild the ego you crushed with nothing but your determination to walk away. Let them fight with themselves, try to salvage what's left of their pride, because it's all in vain. They can never undo what you've done. They can never reverse the truth that you have taken back your power, that you have left them in the dust, and that you have moved on to bigger and better things. You are no longer tethered to their world, no longer bound by their manipulation, no longer subject to their whims. You are free, and in that freedom, you will rise higher than they ever thought possible. You will build a life that they can only dream of, a life where you are in control, where you call the shots, where you define your worth, where you define your future. You will find the happiness and success they tried to deny you, the peace they tried to rob from you, the strength they tried to break. And as you do, as you grow, as you achieve, they will sit in the ashes of their own broken ego, watching you from afar, unable to do anything to stop you. They will try to mimic your strength, try to replicate your success, but they will always fall short, because they don't have what you have. They don't have your fire, your resilience, your indomitable will. They don't have the strength to walk away, and that, in the end, is their greatest failure. They thought they could control you. They thought they could break you, but you walked away, and in doing so, you proved to them and to the world that no one can ever hold power over you. You are untouchable. You are unstoppable. And now, as you continue to rise, they will forever remain a footnote in the story of your life, a reminder of what happens when someone underestimates your strength. So continue with your head held high, with your heart full of defiance, knowing that the victory is yours. They couldn't imagine it. They couldn't see it coming. But now, they'll never forget it. You walked away, and in doing so, you shattered everything they thought they knew. You're about power, about control, and about you. The one thing they failed to understand, the one thing that was beyond their grasp, is the fundamental truth that control is an illusion. It's something that can be wielded, sure, but it's never permanent, never truly solid. They thought they could control you, manipulate your choices, dictate the path you walked. But what they didn't realize was that control is a fragile thing. It's dependent on the submission of those you attempt to dominate. It's dependent on the belief of the controlled that they are powerless. And in your case, they were wrong. You were never powerless. You were always waiting for the moment to break free, waiting for the right time to reclaim your sovereignty, your will, your very life from their grasp. And now, as they stand there broken and defeated, watching you walk away with a quiet power that they could never hope to possess, they finally begin to understand the one thing they never saw coming. You were never under their thumb. You never needed them. You always had your own path to follow, your own strength to rely on, your own inner power that could never be shaken, no matter how hard they tried. And this is where their illusion of control falls apart, because the moment you decide you are free, the moment you recognize your own worth, that illusion shatters. The moment you walk away, free and unburdened, is the moment they realize that they have nothing left. Think about it for a second. They thought they had you in their hands. that your life revolved around their whims. They thought they could make you dance to their tune, shape your world, twist your choices. They believed, for a time, that they could create your reality, that their version of you was the only one that mattered. They couldn't see past their own small, egocentric world. But you were always something more, something beyond their limited perspective. Your strength, your will, your refusal to be molded or contained was never a part of their calculations. And when the moment arrived, when you broke free, when you finally turned your back, you were not just escaping them. You were crushing the very idea that they could ever control you. It's hard for them to face the truth. It's hard for anyone who has built their identity on controlling others to look into the mirror and admit that their power was nothing more than smoke and mirrors. It's a bitter pill to swallow, and no matter how they try to twist it, no matter how they try to convince themselves that they were never truly interested in you, that they didn't care, the truth remains inescapable. You walked away, and in that single moment, you tore down everything they thought they had built. You dismantled their carefully constructed world. You made them confront the cold reality that their sense of superiority, their belief in their ability to manipulate, was nothing more than a fleeting illusion. But this is where the real power lies, isn't it? In the ability to see beyond the illusion, to recognize the lies for what they are, to look through the masks people wear and see the truth behind them. They thought they could fool you, play you for a fool, make you believe that their games were your reality. But you saw through it. You always did. And that's the part they never understood. They never knew just how strong you were, how resilient, how capable of walking away when the time came. They underestimated you, assuming you would always be there, always be available for their manipulation, always be caught in their web of control. But you never were. You were never their victim. You were never the person they wanted you to be. You were always yourself, and when the time came, when the moment arrived, you knew exactly what you had to do. They will try to rewrite the story, of course. They will try to convince others that it was their choice, that they didn't need you, that it didn't matter. But it does matter. It matters deeply. It matters because the truth has already been written. The truth is in your actions. The truth is in the way you walked away, head held high, with no tears, no regrets, no backward glance. The truth is that you found the strength to sever the ties that bound you to them, the strength to walk away from everything they tried to impose upon you. And they know it. Deep down, they know it, even if they won't admit it. The control they thought they had was never real. It was only ever as strong as your willingness to stay. And the moment you left, it crumbled. Now, let's talk about that strength you have, that deep well of power inside you that they never saw coming. It's not something they could ever understand because they were too busy feeding their own egos, too busy building their false sense of control to notice that you were quietly preparing, quietly growing. They didn't see the quiet resilience, the quiet force that you carried within you. They didn't see the years of growth, the struggles, the lessons that shaped you into someone who could walk away, no matter how hard they tried to hold on. They never saw the battle within you, the way you fought to remain true to yourself, even when it seemed easier to conform, to submit, to give in. They didn't know that, deep down, you were always a survivor. You were always strong enough to handle whatever they threw your way, but you weren't foolish enough to believe you needed to stay and endure their cruelty forever. Now, they're left picking up the pieces. They're left trying to figure out how they lost, how they failed. They're left wondering what they did wrong, how they could have kept you in their grip, how they could have won. But the truth is they couldn't have won. They were never meant to. They were always playing a game they didn't fully understand, assuming that you were a mere pawn in their scheme. But you were never a pawn. You were always the queen, the one with the power to change the course of the game, to take control, to dictate your own destiny. And when you chose to walk away, you ended the game on your own terms. They had no say. They had no control. You won. There's something so liberating about that, isn't there? The realization that you never needed them. The realization that your life was never in their hands, that your future was never dependent on their approval. And now, as you look ahead, you see a world full of possibility, full of potential, full of freedom. You see opportunities opening up before you, doors that were once closed, now swinging wide open. And it's all because you had the courage to walk away. You had the strength to say no more, to refuse to be held back by someone else's need for control. You had the wisdom to see that in order to grow, in order to live your fullest life, you had to step away from the chains they tried to place on you. And while they stew in their defeat, trying to rebuild what little control they think they have left, you will be moving forward. You will be soaring. You will be creating a life that is entirely yours, a life built on your own terms. You will grow stronger, more resilient, more powerful, and they will continue to watch from the sidelines, helpless and broken, knowing they can never get back what they lost. They can try to control others, try to manipulate those around them, but they will never have the power over you again. You have seen the truth. You have broken free. And once you've broken free, there is no going back. So continue on your journey, unapologetically, powerfully, knowing that you are free. You are free from their control, free from their manipulations, free from their lies. You are free to live your life as you see fit, free to make your own choices, free to be the person you were always meant to be. And they are left behind in the ruins of their own making, forever wondering what went wrong, forever wondering how you slipped through their fingers, forever wondering how they could have been so blind. But the truth is, they never had control over you, not in the way they thought. You were always in charge of your own fate. And now, as you walk away, you take with you a strength they can never touch, a power they can never hope to control. And that is something they will never forget. In the end, they couldn't control you because you were never meant to be controlled. You broke free from their grasp, shattered their illusions, and walked away with a quiet strength they couldn't comprehend. And as you move forward, you take with you the undeniable truth. Your power, your freedom, and your future have always been in your hands. They may try to rebuild their illusions, but they will never regain the control they thought they had over you. You are free, unstoppable, and stronger than they could ever have imagined. Welcome to the silence before the storm. The moment when eyes blink slower, hearts beat deeper, and every whisper fades into the shadows, because something is about to rise that they didn't prepare for, something forged in quiet nights, in broken places, in the corners of the world where no one claps, and no one watches, and no one believes until it's too late, until the roar shatters the quiet, and they finally understand why they should have never looked away. You walk in, and the air shifts, not because you begged for attention, not because you shouted the loudest, but because your presence carries the weight of every moment. They thought you wouldn't make it, and you did. Your presence holds every decision made when no one believed you were worth betting on, and you still chose to build. When all they did was sleep, your presence screams louder than noise without raising your voice. It demands respect without asking. It shakes the smart off their faces, not by belittling them, but by showing them that knowledge without hunger is just information waiting to expire. They watch you now with that look in their eyes, like they're trying to recalculate everything they thought they knew. Because the moment you started speaking, they remembered what real conviction sounds like. They remembered what it means to live with purpose, so thick, it chokes out doubt and breathes in the kind of fire that doesn't flicker in the wind. It eats it, it consumes it, and grows stronger. They thought they were ahead because they had the answers. You didn't even care to ask because you weren't playing their game. You were building your own. And while they laughed and labeled and layered their lives with approval, you walked barefoot through storms building your silence into strength. And now when you speak, it ain't words. It's a warning. It's a signal that time is up for pretending and playing small and talking big without walking anything real. Because what they don't understand is that some people aren't fueled by applause. They're fueled by what was taken from them. They're fueled by the nights they spent questioning their worth, by the mornings they woke up and decided to keep going anyway. They're fueled by the shadows, the disappointments, the disrespect they turned into discipline. And when you step into a room, now, people feel that they feel that depth, that density of someone who's seen the bottom, not just visited it, but lived there and chose to rise, chose to climb without light, without rope, without cheering, crowds, only grit, only obsession, only the unshakable belief that the world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself everything. And they ain't ready for that level of accountability because it strips away their excuses. It exposes the lies they tell themselves. It reminds them that comfort is a cage that some people willingly decorate and call freedom, while others choose to bleed in pursuit of something real, something raw, something that hurts and heals in the same breath. You didn't just improve, you transformed. And that kind of change is offensive to people who've stayed the same for years, who've convinced themselves that staying safe is wisdom, who've replaced dreams with routines and called it maturity. You are living proof that pain can be purpose, that struggle can be strategy, that losing everything can sometimes be the only way to gain anything worth having. You don't just speak now, you strike, and your voice doesn't rise, it lands, it hits places they've kept quiet, places they buried under fear and fake ambition. And now they look at you and realize they're not even close to that level. Not because you're perfect, not because you had more chances, but because you made a choice every day. To sharpen while they dulled, to climb while they sat to own your flaws, and use them like weapons while they hid behind polished masks. You didn't wait to be picked, you picked yourself, and now they're watching you wondering how the hell you became the one they need to study and mimic and learn from, when just a few chapters ago, they barely turned your way. And that's the thing about elevation. It's lonely, it's brutal, it's misunderstood until it's undeniable. And now you've arrived in a space where every movement you make forces people to check themselves. They start questioning their pace, their plans, their priorities, not because you said a word to them, but because your being, your aura, holds a mirror up to everything they could have been if they just didn't quit. They ain't even close to your level, because your level wasn't built by strategy alone. It was built by suffering, by showing up on days your soul begged for rest and choosing growth. Instead, it was built by dying to old versions of yourself over and over and over again until what remained couldn't be broken anymore. And that energy speaks louder than the lectures. That intensity makes people reconsider their whole direction, and they'll try to frame it like arrogance or ego. Because it's easier to dismiss your greatness than confront their own. Neglect. It's easier to mock what they fear than study it. But you don't need their validation, because you ain't living for likes. You're living for legacy, for the invisible impact, for the silence that follows your words. Because it hits that deep. Because when you speak now, people don't just listen, they feel it. In their spine, in their doubt, in their hope, you awaken what they buried and what they feel. You weren't built for the surface, and that's why deep calls too deep, and those who resonate will rise with you, and those who don't will rot in comfort, still pretending that their opinion weighs more than your work. But real recognize real. And right now, every MF watching you is realizing they misjudged you. They underestimated the one thing that never blinks, never bends, never breaks, a relentless soul. And now, your existence is proof that intellect without resilience is empty, that knowledge without action is useless, that passion without pain is fantasy. They was feeling smart till you spoke and turned their theories into ashes, because what you bring is not just words. It's weight, it's war, it's truth, dressed in scars and silence. And what makes you dangerous is not your volume, but your vision. Because when you close your eyes, you still see it, you still feel it, you still want it more than they want comfort, more than they want approval, more than they want to be seen. You'd rather build in the dark than perform in the light. And that difference is what separates you from the crowd. They studied the rules, you broke them. They waited for permission, you took territory. They talked about grind, you lived it. They played humble while hiding their fear. You walked bold while battling yours. That's why you stand out now, because what you say is not rehearsed. It's remembered. It's lived. It's scarred into you. And when you speak, the room doesn't clap. The room shifts because everyone suddenly feels how far they've fallen behind. And don't mistake their silence for disinterest. They quiet because realizing they're not even close to that level. They're realizing that elevation ain't about hype, it's about sacrifice. And most ain't willing to pay that price. But you did, and now you own what they admire from a distance. So keep speaking, not loud, but true. Keep moving, not fast, but forward. Keep being the reminder that silence can be powerful, that hunger can be holy, and that darkness isn't always destruction. Sometimes it's the forge, sometimes it's the birthplace, sometimes it's the only place strong enough to create someone like you. They were feeling smart till you spoke, because you turned their intelligence into insecurity. You made them realize that the real test wasn't in knowing, but in becoming. And while they read about resilience, you lived it. While they studied mindset, you rebuilt yours from rubble. While they memorized motivation, you became the embodiment of it. Now they sit and watch, wondering how someone with fewer resources, fewer chances, fewer cheers got further than they did. And the answer is simple. You didn't care about being seen. You cared about being undeniable. And now every room you enter becomes proof that silence plus focus equals impact, that pain plus vision equals power. So let them keep watching. Let them keep calculating. Let them keep pretending they're close. When you know, they never even stepped into the ring, because this isn't about who's the loudest. This is about who's still standing when everything falls, and that's you. You've become the storm. You've become the standard. And every MF watching now is being reminded that they ain't even close to that level. Not yet. And maybe not ever. So now you're walking through rooms like a quiet fire, unannounced, unbothered, unafraid. And they're realizing too late that you didn't just show up. You arrived not by accident, but by discipline, by sacrifice, by choosing to keep showing up when the world gave you nothing but reasons to quit. And that's what they'll never understand, because they were busy collecting opinions while you were collecting scars. Each one earned, each one burned into your will as proof that you don't stop. You were never chasing applause. You were building something no one could take from you. Not status, not trophies, not fake validation, but substance. And now that it's showing, now that it's growing, now that every step you take carries history behind it, they're shook. Not because you speak louder, but because you speak cleaner, clearer, more pure than they ever could. They talk circles, you talk truth. They build stories, you build standards. They mimic passion, you bleed it. And the way you move now, it don't need explanation. Your presence is the proof. Your silence is the signal. Your breath is the blueprint. And when you open your mouth, they feel that drop in their gut, like gravity, just shifted. because you didn't come here to impress you, came to remind them that greatness is not random, that mastery is not gifted, that fire is not born. It's earned. They forgot that real power doesn't need to be loud, it just needs to be real. It needs to be rooted in something deeper than motivation. It has to come from the parts of you that were broken, rebuilt, abandoned, and still move forward anyway, because people can copy style, but they can't copy spirit. And your spirit? It's carved from chaos, molded in isolation, crowned in silence. It's not the type they teach in books. It's the kind you earn in battle. And that's why you don't need to announce anything anymore, because your results speak louder than their opinions, and your reality stands taller than their reputation. And maybe they'll never admit it, but they feel it. They feel the distance. They feel the difference. They feel the gap, because your level isn't just a place. It's a mindset. It's a standard that doesn't bend for convenience. It doesn't flinch at failure. It doesn't need permission. You became that level when you decided that no one was coming to save you. When you looked at your life and said, "This ends with me." The doubt, the fear, the excuses, the delay, the small thinking, the fake confidence, the empty praise. You shut all of it down and built from the ashes. And now that you're here, they're realizing that they were never playing the same game. You weren't trying to be liked. You were trying to be legendary. And legends don't move like followers. They move like flames. Quiet, deadly, undeniable. And what separates you from them now is not just what you've done, but what you've survived. You turned your worst days into fuel, your losses into leverage, your silence into strategy. They only show up when it's safe. You show up when it's war. They wait to be chosen. You choose yourself every single time. That's why you carry that gravity. That's why your name hits different. That's why they don't even breathe right when you walk in. Because presence, like yours, it demands reflection. It forces realization. And right now, while they watch, they're feeling that creeping discomfort, that inner voice saying, "You should have worked harder. You should have kept going. You should have never laughed at their grind." Because now the one they overlooked became the one they can't ignore. The one they doubted became the one they fear. The one they dismissed now holds everything they wish they had. And the truth hurts when it's real, but it hits hardest when it's earned. You're not just a reminder of what's possible. You're the proof that time doesn't heal. Discipline does. That pain doesn't destroy. Weakness does. That life doesn't reward effort, it rewards execution. And you execute relentlessly, without applause, without comfort, without delay. And that's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you different. That's what makes them sit in silence now, wondering how far behind they really are. Because every time you speak, they remember everything they could have been, if they just did what you did, if they just kept going. And now, you've become the wake-up call, the proof that greatness isn't about talent, it's about tenacity. It's about being obsessed with the outcome, even when there's no support, no light, no noise, only faith, only grit, only you. They was feeling smart till you spoke, because you reminded them that intelligence without action is just theory and comfort. Without challenge is just a slow death of potential. And right now, while they sit watching you evolve, they feel every bit of that weight pressing against their chest. The weight of regret, the weight of what if, the weight of knowing deep down that they had the same hours, the same days, the same 24s, but they wasted theirs. And you used yours. Every minute, every scar, every chance. And now you stand as a living reminder that the game always favors the one who refuses to lose, the one who bends, but never breaks, the one who stands in the storm and becomes part of it. You didn't come to compete. You came to conquer, not by force, but by example. You didn't need to silence them. You just let your work speak. And now every word you say cuts through the noise, cuts through the ego, cuts through the lies, because you're not on their level. You're not even in their league. You built something they can't copy, something they can't fake, something they can't skip. And now, every MF watching is realizing something dangerous, something they'll never say out loud, but they'll carry it with them. Damn, I ain't even close to that level. And now, it's not just about levels, it's about worlds. You're not steps ahead, you're realms apart. Not because you had more, but because you needed less. You didn't wait for perfect conditions. You moved through storms while they needed motivation. You needed a reason. While they waited for the right time, you became the time. And now, time bends for you, because every second you move with purpose. Every breath is calculated. Every step is history in motion. They're watching now, but they're late. They see the form, but they miss the forging. They see the gold, but not the fire. They see the sharpness, but not the grind. And that's the difference. They want results without the rupture. They want glory without the grit. But you understood early. The crown isn't handed, it's taken, and it's carried alone, in silence, with blood on your back and no map to follow. They laughed at the journey, but they forgot. The one who suffers most becomes the one who commands most. And now that you're here, they can't fake being close to your level, because the air is different up here. It's thinner, it's colder, and only the prepared can breathe. You didn't just level up, you left orbit. And from this height, you don't compete. You create, you don't chase. You attract, you don't convince, you command. And the silence they hear now, that's not absence, that's domination. That's what it sounds like when someone stops explaining and starts embodying. You're not trying to prove anymore. You already are. You already did. And while they still talk in circles, still sell versions of themselves, they haven't earned. You're walking in wholeness, in truth, in scars you don't hide, because you wear them like armor. They look at you and think, something about them is different. But it's not just something, it's everything. It's how you don't flinch when things fall. It's how you walk into pressure like it's home. It's how your eyes don't look around anymore. They see through people, through lies, through limits. And what they hate most, what they'll never admit, is that now they study your moves. Now they mimic your cadence. Now they want your silence, but they don't have the stillness for it. They don't have the roots for it. Because real silence, it comes from knowing that even if everything breaks again, you'll still rebuild, and they don't want to start over. You live in the start over. That's why they're watching, and you're moving. Because when you speak now, it's not a sentence, it's a shift. It's a ripple across every person in the room who thought they were safe in their routine. It's a reminder that every excuse they've nurtured just got exposed by your breath. They was feeling smart till you spoke. Because you don't speak from theory, you speak from trauma, from discipline, from evolution, from doing the work when no one saw. And now the results are loud enough to silence the entire crowd. And that silence is not approval. It's awakening. It's people finally realizing that greatness doesn't have volume. It has weight. You became heavy, too heavy for small talk, too heavy for comparison, too heavy for trends. Because when you walk now, you carry legacy. And what they don't know yet, what they'll discover when it's too late, is that you're not building for the moment. You're building for forever. And forever don't care about feelings. Forever don't care about fear. Forever don't wait for comfort. Forever moves with those willing to suffer for significance. You became that. You became the embodiment of what happens when pain meets patience, when failure meets fire, when darkness meets decision. And now you're here, not loud, not flashy, but undeniable. And that's why they're watching. That's why they're quiet. Because now they understand. This was never about being better than them. This was always about being better than you were yesterday. But in doing that, you outgrew them, outlasted them, outworked them, and now outranked them because they paused. But you persisted. They waited. You woke up. They followed. You forged. And now, every move you make ain't just a move. It's a message. Every word you speak ain't just a word. It's a warning. Every time you step forward, it's another reminder that they're not even close to your level, and maybe they never will be. So now we stand here, not at the end, but at a line only few ever cross, a point of no return, where ordinary breaks, where average dies, where the old world stops and your world begins, and you can feel it, that pressure in the air, that pulse in the silence, that shift. In every eye that lands on you, they thought they had time, they thought they were close, they thought effort alone would bridge the distance. But now they see this wasn't just about hard work. It was about becoming something they never could. You became the standard, you became the myth, you became the threat. Not because you took shortcuts, but because you didn't. They needed certainty, you moved with chaos. They needed the plan, you moved with presence. And now, you are the proof that no one is born ready, but some choose to become inevitable. They was feeling smart till you spoke, because you reminded them that intelligence without execution is just decoration, that confidence without consistency is just a mask, that dreams without discipline are just lies told at night. But you woke up to war. Every single day, you suited up without applause, without noise. You didn't need anyone to see it because you saw it, and that was enough. You stared down your own weakness, you broke it, you buried it, and when you rebuilt, you did it in silence. You didn't broadcast, you didn't beg for credit, you just became undeniable. And now you don't walk like them, you don't think like them, you don't breathe like them, because you've already done what most won't. You've already paid what most won't. You've already survived what most can't. And they feel that. They feel the weight in your voice, the depth in your eyes, the stillness in your movement. You don't move fast, you move right. You don't react, you respond. You don't compete, you command. You walk in and the atmosphere bends, not because you want it to, but because it has no choice. And in that moment, they realized that they weren't chasing the same thing as you. They were chasing applause. You were chasing truth. They were chasing comfort. You were chasing greatness. And now that it's here, they can't fake being close. They can't pretend anymore. Because now, the room is split. Two kinds of people. Those who talked about it, and the one who became it. And you became it. So let them watch. Let them whisper. Let them scramble to figure it out. You don't need to explain. You don't need to defend. Because when you are the standard, you don't chase recognition. You carry responsibility. And that's the final separation. That's the edge they'll never touch. Because you didn't just want to win. You wanted to leave something behind. You didn't just want to rise. You wanted to raise the entire floor. You didn't just want to be known. You wanted to be remembered. And now, you don't have to yell it. You don't have to sell it. You just live it. You just move. And every MF watching you now knows this ain't luck. This ain't hype. This ain't a phase. This ain't even talent. This is something else. This is earned power, learned pain, relentless consistency, quiet obsession, purpose with no pause. And now you own it. All of it, the distance, the difference, the dominance. Because while they hesitated, you became history, and the only words left for them now, the only truth they can't escape is this. Damn, I ain't even close to that level. They begged for honesty, pleaded for transparency, and swore they valued authenticity. But when you spoke, When you laid bare the fragile scaffolding of their carefully constructed illusions, they recoiled in horror. They branded you a traitor, a disruptor, a villain for daring to shatter the comfortable facade they had built around themselves. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you. They ostracized you. They made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you. They ostracized you. They made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality. They turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you. They ostracized you. They made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you. They ostracized you. They made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you. They ostracized you. They made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you, they ostracized you, they made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you. They ostracized you. They made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage, but it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you, they ostracized you, they made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage, but it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you, they ostracized you, they made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions. Only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you, they ostracized you, they made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. They built you up on a pedestal of praise. They showered you with accolades and admiration. They feigned interest in your unique perspective. They feigned respect for your unwavering integrity. But it was all a charade, a carefully orchestrated performance designed to lure you into a false sense of security, a trap designed to capture your voice and extinguish your light. They feigned interest in your insights. They feigned respect for your courage. But it was all a ruse, a carefully constructed facade designed to mask their own insecurities, their own deep-seated fears of the truth. They feared the truth because it exposed their own inadequacies, their own shortcomings, their own carefully constructed illusions. They feared the truth because it challenged their comfortable narratives, their carefully constructed realities. They feared the truth because it threatened to shatter the fragile edifice of their carefully constructed world. They craved the truth. They yearned for something real, but only as long as it aligned with their preconceived notions, only as long as it painted a picture of themselves that was flattering and self-serving. The moment you dared to deviate from their carefully curated narrative, the moment you exposed the cracks in their carefully constructed reality, they turned on you with a ferocity that belied their professed admiration for honesty. They called you a liar, a manipulator, a threat to the very fabric of their existence. They painted you as the villain, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to disturb the peace, the one who dared to question the status quo, the one who dared to expose the ugly underbelly of their carefully constructed world. They silenced you, they ostracized you, they made you an outcast for the crime of speaking the truth, for daring to challenge their comfortable delusions, for refusing to bow down to their manufactured reality. This is the price you pay for honesty, for daring to shatter their carefully constructed illusions. But let their anger fuel you. Let their rejection harden your resolve. You spoke the truth, and the truth will always prevail, even if it's buried beneath layers of lies and deceit.